So behind me here we have a wood miser. This is a portable bandsaw mill, and the reason that we have this is because part of running a sugar bush, especially if you're tapping trees, is forestry management. So one of the ways that you're going to increase your production and your sugar content is by thinning your woods and giving your trees bigger crowns, more, collecting more sunlight, making more sugar. And so, and if you burn firewood, you're going to need to collect firewood as well. So my dad bought a bandsaw mill years ago. It wasn't quite a wood miser. We had toured the factory and decided not to buy one because it was a little too expensive at the time. And the sawmill that we bought didn't quite work quite right all the time, and it was a little finicky, and we ended up getting rid of it and never kind of followed through with the thinning program. But when we started putting tubing in the woods, we ran into a section of our woods up here that has got a lot of ash trees in it, and the emerald ash borer has pretty much wiped those out. So there's a lot of dead trees mixed in with the maples that we want to tap. And so we kind of argued about it a little bit, and I forced him to come to the conclusion that we probably shouldn't put tubing in there until we clean all those dead trees out, so we don't have to clean them up off our tubing. And I kind of started counting trees and taking a look at it and going, that's a lot of firewood to split, and started looking into firewood processors because I started calculating how much time it took me personally to drag logs out, cut them, split them, stack them, and I was in like 10 hours per cord of wood or somewhere in the neighborhood with my little single wedge log splitter. You can increase your production if you spend a lot more money on a log splitter, but I'm into like gadgets and gizmos, and I wanted the thing that just like chopped and split and stacked and did all that, and they're kind of expensive. And then I would have a lot of firewood left over, which isn't worth very much. It's only worth about 200 bucks a cord. And kind of got to thinking like, hey, we used to have a sawmill. So I was like, why don't we just buy a sawmill? And instead of splitting giant round logs like this all the time with a little tiny log splitter, we could put that on the sawmill, make boards out of it, which is worth a lot more money. Way more useful to me to build pump stations, buildings, wood sheds, whatever. Or sell the wood. Personally, I want to go after tap stain maple, and I think that really is interesting to me. And so this machine will give us the ability to do that. And then that way, the only things that I have to split and stack is limb wood. And so I've created this little makeshift device. This is just kind of a prototype, but you every time you cut a tree down, you buck the logs out of it, and then you just take the limb wood, you stack it in here at the forks on a tractor or something like that, a loader, and then I can just come along and I can cut my lengths out of it every 2 feet or 3 feet or whatever you throw in your evaporator, and I literally only have to split something like this one time, and it goes right on the woodshed. And I did a whole rack of this like in my spare time, and I found it so much easier because I keep the log splitter in the woodshed, and I just throw the logs up there and I split them once and throw them on the pile right next to me. And just whatever you can do. I've heard other people have similar variations on something like this, but whatever makes your firewood splitting easier, because that's like, it might take a whole month. They used to split 30 cords of wood. I can't even imagine doing that with a wedge and a sledge, and it's a lot of time. So